Joining us to talk a little bit more about the dangers of Mount Everest from Nepal, Michael Lees. He's the founder and CEO of Everest Experts. Michael, when you made it to the summit, you got on social media. You mentioned that the Sherpa team there helped you. You thanked them for not letting you quit and allowing you to make a dream come true. Talk to me about how difficult it is and that desire to quit, because this really tests you, doesn't it?
Hi, yes, this is Mike Lees from Everest Experts. When I climbed Mount Everest, it was a dream come true for me. It had been a 10-year mission for myself. I had done a lot in terms of preparation and learning about training and climbing Everest, but I chose a great team, and we had good weather, and we made it to the summit, and that's where I realized my dream. A lot of people like to downgrade Everest and say that it's too easy, there's too much support on the mountain, etc. But Mount Everest is still the highest mountain in the world. And it doesn't really matter who you are, whether you're an inexperienced climber or you're a super Sherpa. Mount Everest can affect you as it affects any human being, and it can take anyone's life. So it's still a very big challenge. And so, we had a great time climbing up. There was a little bit of wind. It was very, very cold. It was minus 35 at the balcony, which is a feature on the way up to the summit. And I was having some cold issues with my foot that made me want to turn around, but I pushed through them and waited until the sun came up to heat things up. And this seemed to be the key. And then I continued on through to the summit, and we made the summit on May the 13th in 2018, so it was a dream come true.
Michael, we just heard from this filmmaker before we talked to you describing things, and he was on social media. He said, "I cannot believe what I saw up there. Death, carnage, chaos, lineups, dead bodies on the route, and in tents at Camp 4. People who I tried to turn back who ended up dying, people being dragged down, walking over bodies, everything you read in the sensational headlines all played out on our summit night." It sounds so bleak. Given your situation, give me your idea of what you think is going on this year, because some people say there's too many people up there, too many permits, inexperience. What do you think is contributing to all of this?
Right, I'm sure, yeah. I think that was a quote by Elias Sakeley, but definitely this year had its host of problems. First of all, there was a lot of snow on the mountain this year, and that delayed the line fixing teams and made establishing Camp 2 very difficult. But what the biggest issue was, I think, was that Hurricane Fanny came in and brought lots of wind and destroyed a whole bunch of tents, as well as delayed the acclimatization process for many climbers. And so, whereas I summited on May the 13th, everybody now wasn't ready to take advantage of any weather windows that presented themselves during that period of time, and had to wait later. And then that combined with the fact that the weather windows were very narrow, later in the season. And so there was only really a few days for everybody to go up and summit Everest. And when you've prepared for a month or more and spent all this money and time and preparation, everybody wants to get their attempt, and so everybody goes. And so what generally happens is that all of the leadership of the guiding expeditions get together and try and talk amongst each other to coordinate, to try and spread the numbers out. But this year, there was only a few days, and so it ended up being that the vast majority of climbers went on May 22nd and 23rd. So there was a photo that was posted showing a shoulder-to-shoulder line going the whole way along the summit ridge. And that's kind of the extreme. But the EverestExperts.com team actually went on May the 18th and had absolutely no traffic whatsoever. We had the entire mountain to ourselves. And so, to a certain degree, the problem stemmed from a little bit of strategy combined with, just the sheer numbers of people on the mountain.
Yeah, you told one of my colleagues that you feel like people are underestimating Everest these days. That lack of respect, it's extraordinarily dangerous, isn't it? I mean, you really need to respect this mountain.
Well, certainly, and like I said, it's the biggest mountain in the world, and that's never going to change. There's no oxygen up there, and people can die up there, and it doesn't matter how much you prepare or how much you train. So,
Michael, if I could just
inexperienced climbers.
briefly, I do want to get to your climb, though, because you went with a group of Chinese climbers, including a 70-year-old who was a double amputee. What was that like?
Oh, certainly. Sha Boyu from China. He was 70 years old. He lost his legs on Mount Everest in 1975, and he tried 4 times with other teams. But on the 5th try, he came with us, and we created a unique strategy for him. We made 5 camps instead of the normal 4, and we gave him extra support, and we got him to the top. So that was quite the achievement for our team and for Sha, because in the end, no matter how much support he had, he still had to carry himself up to the top. So that was a great achievement for him. But yeah, going back to your point, there's a lot of people on the mountain who don't have much experience and perhaps no experience at all. There's teams in base camp who are doing skills training, meaning that they're learning how to use the ascenders to go up the fixed lines. They're learning how to cross the ladders, etc. And in my opinion, I think that when you go to climb Mount Everest, you should have the skills prior to arriving at base camp to climb. So
Yeah.
that's a big issue.
Yeah.
And, that combined, if you don't have the skills and the prep and you run into obstacles, these problems can compound because you're not ready for it.
Well, we're certainly seeing examples of that. Michael, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.